A GPA don't mean you're going to succeed in life. You know what I'm saying?
Right. That part.
Some of them really understand like what other skills and tools do my man or girl have that you can set the man out for? Because it's hard trying to figure it out. Like you've been 15 years. It took me about 5 or 6 years to like really get into something that I enjoy because I was trying to figure out who I was.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of More Than 94, where former athletes redefine success. Today's episode, we have Brandon Sweeney. Brandon is a dynamic leader, accomplished author of 2 books, and devoted family man. Married to Ashante Sweeney and father of 3 wonderful children, Judah, Bethany, and Aubrey. He combines his passion for faith, education, leadership, and personal development in all endeavors. As the lead pastor of Salt City Church, Brandon is on a mission to equip and inspire believers to represent Jesus to everyone everywhere. Brandon's journey began as a collegiate athlete, excelling in track and football. His athletic background transitioned into coaching, where he inspired and mentored young athletes. His commitment to education is evident in his role as an educator and counselor, where he has positively impacted hundreds of lives. His multifaceted career is a testament to his ability to inspire, lead, and transform lives. Welcome, Brandon, to More Than 94. And so,
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming. I tell every guest the whole purpose of the podcast is to highlight people that could have probably gone professional and didn't for whatever reason and are still exceptional everyday people. Because I feel like we only hear from professional athletes the majority of the time. You have people out here being great without being a professional athlete. That's what we do.
Awesome. Yeah.
And so today, just walk people through your journey of how athletics started for you.
Yes, Akron, Ohio, born and raised. It started when I was 7. Man, in the hood, in the streets, playing tag. We used to call it free for all. So we would throw the ball up, somebody grab it. And so I had people in the community who was like, man, you pretty good at it. So I went to my mom. I was like, hey, mom, like, I want to play organized football. She was like, you too small. And so like a whole year I bugged her. And hey, I want to play this. And so eventually after a year, she finally decided to let me play. So I was 8 years old, man. I got my first taste. I was playing quarterback, man, got in, first play of the game, scored a touchdown. Man, it was a wrap from there. Like I knew this was it.
That's it. That's all it took is that one touchdown.
One touchdown. And yeah, I mean, I didn't know anything. We grew up in like that's the hood ghetto, whatever that you want to call it. And we were just playing, street ball. And then once I got understood the game, I scored the touchdown. I was like, yeah, I like this feeling. People yelling, I'm in the end zone, teammates hype. I was like, yeah, I want to keep doing this. So for me, I just kept playing Little League. We call it Pee Wee football during the time. This is probably like 1992, 1993.
Yeah.
And started playing, excelled at it, and just kept learning about the game, kept growing to get better at it.
And then so you went there, you played obviously high school. And then what was college like for you?
So college, I ended up going to, I had scholarship to go to D1. I had a 3.0 GPA, but a lot of D1 schools was either one, they wanted me to play DB, and I was playing running back. And I played DB in high school. I played safety and running back. And so they were like, well, you about like 5'8", 155 pounds, a senior. You can't play running back on this level. So I told my coach, like, I don't want to go. Not only that, my ACT score, I needed to get an 18. I didn't take it seriously, so I kept getting like 15s or 16s. For D1 school, the D1 schools like, give me the scholarship. So I was hurt, and then my coach said, hey, there's a school in Pennsylvania called Clarion University. I know the coach up there. They're willing to give you a partial. You got to figure out the rest. Man, we can get you in. And so I went on a visit. My mom took me up there, and I was like, Mom, I'm going here. She was like, you don't even know these people. So I'm going here. Got there. They was running, for those who play football, they was running the wing T offense. So like they had 3 running backs in the backfield. I'm not used to that. And so I got the ball probably like 8 or 9 times a game. And I remember my coach telling me like, hey, it's not how many times you get it. It's when you do get it, like make the most of it. And so I started averaging like anywhere from 90 to 100 yards a game off of like, 10 carries. So I started as a freshman, came all conference, went there my second year. And then I decided to leave after that and ended up going to North Carolina A&T. That's when I transferred. And my coach, man, my running back coach, he wanted to help me get out of here. He felt like I was pretty good to be on, not be on a Division two level. That I can play D1. Helped me get there. And then I had my head coach who was hot, but he kind of like said some choice words to me because he didn't want me to go. But I left and I went to North Carolina. I walked on, earned a scholarship, started balling.
Dang. And where was that in Pennsylvania? What part of Pennsylvania was that?
Clearing. So this is like, so I'm in Akron, Northeast Ohio. So it's 2 hours away from Akron. And Clearing is about 2 hours away from Pittsburgh. And so
I
they're
know.
like, it's really, really close. Yeah. So it's like Clearing is a town and then Clearing University.
Oh, okay. I used to go to, I don't know how far it is, Erie, Pennsylvania every summer. So I was just wondering.
We played a school up there. Yeah.
Yeah. It is
Oh,
boring, nothing to do in Pennsylvania. So
yeah.
obviously you wouldn't talk about like life after sports. And so what motivated and inspired you to, what creative choices you go, we know that now you're a pastor, but what led up to this moment? And then how did athletics prepare you for your career choices throughout up to this point?
Yeah. So, yeah, I was like, man, I hate saying this, but I was like your typical, no, I wasn't your typical jock. I'm not going to say that because I was pretty good. No, but I didn't think about life after sport. So when I got to A&P, I started out in Clarion as a communication major because my mindset was like, I'm going to the league. Once I get done, I'm gonna be on ESPN. I love
Not that money.
ENT golf and crop. So I'm like, I'm gonna do that. Well, when I got to A&P, they were they didn't their communication. Well, I found out that communications was boring because it was so technical, and I didn't know that. So I ended up switching to construction management just because I was pretty good with my hands. I was going to do mechanical engineer. So I did that just thinking like, okay, this is kind of like a backup, but not really a backup because I'm so focused on football.
Yeah.
Well, going into my senior year at A&T 2006, I ended up out of the blue tackle, rupture my kidney, ended my career. So I spent about a year and a half, almost 2 years depressed, became suicidal. And I was trying to think about like, man, my career ended. I don't know who I am. I don't even know what I'm good at. And so I once I came out of that depression, that mode of like by the end of my life, I felt like I had this moment where the moment I was about to take my life, where God was like, hey, the only reason you holding on to this game, you don't believe it has something better for you. And at that moment, like I didn't feel helpless or hopeless anymore, that I literally thought that it was like purpose beyond the game. So I started like asking myself questions like, man, what do you love? Like, what do you hate so much you want to correct? Like, what draws you? Who are you drawn to? Just basic questions. And I found out like, man, I want to be around young men, young athletes. And because I grew up without a dad, grew up, just my single mom for a kid. And I wanted to be around like, how do I help shape, these young athletes, these young men? So I started working in the group home.
Yeah.
And I had a professor like, hey, you should take a counseling class. And everybody kept telling me you should do counseling. You already doing this on just everyday life, in your everyday life, talking to people. So I picked this psychology class, loved it. And so then it led me to getting working in the mental health field, started becoming a counselor, working with families. Then I ended up getting my master's in sports psychology. Because I figured like, hey, let me get the tools that I need to start helping people work through their stuff, but also like, become successful. If I started doing that and started coaching on the side, I couldn't coach. It took me about 2 or 3 years before I started coaching just because I had to get over the game.
They had a little resentment there.
I did, man. I'm seeing guys go to the league. I was hurt. But once I got over it and I started coaching in high school, I fell in love with it. And I tell people all the time, I literally don't like coaching, but I like really coaching young men to become men. And I figured athletes, sports was one of those avenues that I could do that through because these were all the guys who grew up like me, look like me. I can meet them where they are. But it was hard to do that if you're trying to coach to win and you're trying to mentor at the same time.
Yeah.
Like coaches be saying that, but man,
Yeah,
they ain't trying.
they don't mean that. Some I don't think all of most of them really don't mean that. But you go back to like when you say you didn't know what you wanted to do. I feel like I don't know if it's a male or female thing. I think both can struggle if all they've done is play basketball, football, whatever sport they play. But like what if somebody's like, I don't know, and they didn't ask those questions? I feel like unless you a person that's self-reflective, how did you know to ask those questions of like what you want to do? Because I feel like most people like, well, I don't know, like what I'm supposed to do. Or just they don't want to give up that identity.
Yeah. So I was talking. I had a mentor named Alan Hooker. He played at my alma mater. He was a quarterback. Went to the league. He went to play for Dallas. So he was at a church that I was going to, and man, he just started like he was, you know how you got mentors and coaches. People would see stuff in you, they're cheering, seeing yourself. And so they started saying things like, "Hey, I want you to come speak to these kids," or "I want you to share your story about this." And so I was like, "Man, I don't like to speak." At the time, my voice was high. I come fast. They couldn't understand me. And so I started doing that. And then my coaches started saying things like, or my mentors started saying things like, "Hey, man, a lot of these kids look up to you. They love your story. Man, you can really encourage or captivate an audience." So I was like, "No." So he was like, "Hey, let's write a book." And I was like, "Write a book? I ain't got the story. I'll tell you the story." So I ended up writing my first book called Loving the Game When the Game Doesn't Love You Back. And I wanted to capture like, hey, I was in love with this girl didn't love me back. I was about to get married. He rejected me. So I was kind of writing in a way to help people understand like what goes on behind the scenes. Like, crap. And I kept getting invited to speak. And so they were like, "Man, you can really speak. I think you found your next thing." And I was just insecure. I just kept thinking like, man, because like you got to firm this sport. Like you get built up, like you get dude on the court, I mean on the field, balling.
It moved intermediate.
Yeah, it was speaking, it was like a whole new skill. I had to learn it. The mentoring part, I loved it because I loved hanging around young people. So when I kept hearing that from my mentor, different people, and they were like, "I think it's what you're good at." So for me, I just started. I've always been like self-reflective, so I just started saying like, "Okay, man, you can't play this." Oh, here's what it was. People would ask me back home, "Man, Swin, you left. You went to go play ball at A&T. We saw you. You played on TV and all this stuff. What you doing now?" Yeah, "What could I'm working this. I'm working in the group hall." Yeah, man.
Some people like, oh, what I'm really doing, because that's not success to most people.
Exactly.
You just feel embarrassed not to. Just like I was just thinking about it in the car the other day, and I'm like, you know, no, nowhere in my life where I thought, let alone have 2 kids by now. And thinking about homeschooling, like somebody asked me, like, when your kids go, I'm like, I was like before, I'm like embarrassed to say like I'm homeschooling my son. Like, ooh. And so that's not a sign of success of like, even though if you think about it, it really is. Because most people can't afford that luxury of homeschooling their children. But we've believed this lie of like, you gotta send your kids to school, like, and I'm just like embarrassed to say like I'm so
Wow. I mean, listen, it was eating at me because I would go to these jobs. Like, I worked a lot of jobs. Like I started working when I was 14, 13. So I'm like, I did a lot of these odd jobs, and this is a common thing. I would see people like, "Oh yeah, I've been here 20 years, baby." Like I'm like 20 years. That's like so for me. I always felt like there was more to life, which is why I probably like the only one out of my family that left Ohio because I just kept thinking like, man, there's something more. Like I grew up the struggle. You're trying to get out. And for me to say, I'm just doing this, like that didn't resonate with me. So I'm really like, okay, Sween, you can't stay here. Like you gotta figure it out. So I just started connecting with my mentor, started connecting around people, started asking questions. And then I started reading. That's when I fell in love with reading. And so I can't remember what book I started reading, but it started talking about like calling and purpose and, like, what do you think you were born to do? And so no, my pastor asked me, he said, "What do you think you called to?" And I was like, "Man, football." Like, something that y'all know for 15 years. Like, I don't know what else I'm good at. So I just started testing it, putting myself in these different environments, getting asked these questions. And from there, slowly, it just started like, okay, I gotta like embrace this, and then I have to redefine success. And so from there, I just stayed with it, and over time, like I just kept kind of being affirmed and like, yo, you just where you need to be, make you good at it, it comes natural for you. And here's the thing about purpose. I'll say this before you ask me the question. That they got found out about purpose because people think purpose or calling is a destination, and for me, it's like no. I think about a bird. When a bird is flying, one, it has the ability to fly because it has wings, but it's also in its natural environment, which is the air. Like if a bird was in the ocean, bro, it's not fulfilling. You know what I mean? You can't naturally be who you are. So for me, I figured out that I was naturally good at encouraging people, building people up. I was naturally good at like counseling. And so for me, I started asking, okay, if I can do that, what avenues or environments can I get in to allow me to express who I am? So whether it was, I was in counseling, I was an educator, I was coaching, and those like how I'm wired allowed me to express that. And so for me, it was like it didn't matter about a destination because once the destination, like football gone. Okay, what's the next environment? So that's how I looked at it. And so for me now, I'm pastor naturally in my environment of the way God wired me, and for me to function and do what I do best.
And that's good. And that's for like guys, falling in love with the process and stuff. So like you can have an end goal, but that process of going through that. But like what do you think the importance of a mentor is? Because we hear a lot of people say you need a mentor, but either one, most people like for me, I don't want to be like, can you mentor me? Oh, or just like how did you go? And was it like something that y'all were already friends? That how you got your mentor? Because I feel like not enough. I didn't have a mentor necessarily growing up. I've never had a mentor. If I was to say if I had a mentor, and so this like explain like how to seek out a
Did you
mentor.
try to? Yeah, I'm about to say, did you try to figure it out on your own?
Oh, I tried to figure out life off my. And I would say my mentorship. So I had a dad. Like so, my mom is my stepdad, but it's really not. I never like my birth dad died when I was like 2 or something. So if I was to say I had a mentor, I would say my stepdad was a mentor to me. Because he kind of taught like it was. I don't want to say dysfunctional because it was like do as I say, not as I do. So he was telling me things to do, but he wasn't doing it. But he knew the right things to do, and so I think I got a lot of that. And I'm such an internal kind of person, so I'm always kind of like self-reflecting and reflecting. But that also I've found out that like that's not always the best. You probably do need.
Found it out.
Because I'm a self-motivated person, so you ain't gotta come in. And we were talking about this the other day. We were with some friends, and I was like, you get those motivational speakers. It's people that need that, like for sure. If I'm not the type of person like you ain't gotta like come on, Shania. Like I know it. Like just tell me what I need to do and I'll do it. But I'm like but I get why motivation speaking is lucrative because people are out there looking for somebody and looking for that. But I think also being like an athlete coming out may not be on like how do they seek a mentor in their field they're going to, or just seek like a mentor just for life in general? Because I feel like that is not talked about a whole lot as far as like how to get a mentor. Like I know people that get a mentor, but like how do that?
1,000%. So I would say like I know when I wrote my second book, it was called Prevail, so how to become more powerful than the odds stacked against you. That was kind of like a way for me to say, and how did I work through all the stuff that God brought me out of? So I kind of re-engineered, and Prevail had the acronym, but the L in Prevail was leaning on your squad. So what I would say like, hey, you need somebody in front of you. You need people on the side of you that's gonna lock arms. So the person in front of you is like they've been there, done that T-shirt, you can glean from them. People on the side of you, typically friends or family, that's gonna like be with you through the ups and downs, and then you need somebody behind you, like your pusher. Hey, I see more in you. So when I did that, I looked at, I didn't necessarily want a mentor, wasn't looking for a mentor, because I grew up without my dad. So in my head, bro, I kind of raised myself. So I don't need you like telling me, you know what I mean, what I need to do. Like I'm gonna figure it out. And I was kind of like stubborn that way, but I just had some coaches that were like, that was hard on me. And they didn't care like how I felt. One coach told me, he's like, I don't care if you're mad or not. I'm gonna keep showing up. And that did something for me because internally I was always trying to push, like, bro, I ain't just like you here to coach me, like I don't want nothing. So over time I realized that I needed that because that state, that did something for me. So taking that concept, like, man, I had a coach that my coach would like put on the game film and show me where I was weak at, show me what I need to improve at. Then I looked at life, I was like, okay, I need to get around some people who like gone before me or who did this. So like in the church that I was a part of, man, our pastor was like a man's man. So he had like a lot of men around and he would pour into them. And so their mindset was like, I need to pour into these next guys coming in. So what happens is I would be somewhere and then because I played sports, they would be like, oh man, Sweeney, like, da 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 da. And so I'm like taking watch. I'm like, oh, he want to have you doing this. And and our pastor would say this. He was like, hey, if you young, take some of these older people who like, whether they marry, that's what you're trying to do, or business, whatever you're trying to do, and like take them out to eat. So I started doing that. I started like, hey, can we go out to eat?
Yeah.
And over time, man, they would just give me the game. And so I was like, you know what? I need that. Like, so for me it was like, one, I had people in a church setting that older men who gravitated me in different areas. So like I didn't see a good marriage. So I was around men who I looked at their family. I'm like, yeah, can you mentor me? Because I want to get married one day. Guys who was in leadership or whatever, can you mentor me? Whatever. And then the other part of that was like I started reading books. So I would call them my mentors, like people that I'm learning from who I may not be able to meet personally, But like Miles Monroe was a big influence in my life. He wrote a lot of different books, and he just helped me understand a lot of things. So for people who are like who think they don't need one, man, we do. We just
Yeah.
need somebody who's been there, done that, and then we need somebody who's gonna ride with us. And so from there, I just started stepping out, asking questions. People started like meeting me there, and I just started valuing their time, and I just started asking questions. So over time, it just became a natural thing to, hey, I need help. Who do I go to that's in where I'm in or been where I've been that can like help me get out?
Yeah, and I would say, yeah, and so like for us in college, from like when you think about marriage, we had a couple that we can go over there so we can like, see a healthy marriage. So that would be, I guess, yeah, you're right, a form of mentorship or even books. So like I do read a lot of books. So that is, and people that I found out that just by being around them, I didn't necessarily say I want you to mentor. Like people are willing, most people are willing to share what they know for the most part.
Right,
They are.
right, man.
They want
You
people.
need it. Man, people impact like our coach, right? They say this coach has the most influence on young people, right? Because you're out my like that's true. Like some of my coaches shaped us in some way. Our parents, right? Like in some way, form or fashion, you get mentored, whether it's by the people you listen to
Yeah.
musically, what you watching, what you read, somebody
Yeah.
mentor you.
So you ain't gonna be in the flesh. It was what you reading, what you just picking up on as a kid. Yeah, that's true. Um, so that's good. Can you right now? Can you describe kind of your current role and responsibilities in your career outside of like the traditional sports, and if sports still kind of in your current role, still do you approach it kind of similarly, or it's prepared you in a sense with your current role?
Yeah, so
Recap.
man, sport. Yeah, so right now, passing the church, we 3 months in. It has been really good. I think sports, what it did was it taught me discipline. It taught me the work ethic. Like people are always like, "Hey, you gotta set goals, set goals." I was just telling my wife this morning. I said, "Man, I've never really been a goal setter. Like I did step one, step two.
Yeah.
I just saw what I wanted to do, and I put my head down to go do it. Like flat out. Like I didn't set the. I was probably like a high level, maybe visionary. So I saw that, and so when people be like, "Okay," but I'm in high school. You gotta like, what are you gonna do to get? What are you gonna do to graduate? Man, do my work.
And that's what
I go go see my counselor. Well, how you gonna get out? Man, I'm a ball out. They don't
you
come watch me. I'm like, I'm having a conversation. So it's the same way now. I think it's the work ethic. It's the teamwork. I think my going into my senior year when I was at A&T, man, I just really learned the value of like the collaboration, being around people who are like strong in areas that you're weak in. And I mean, you think about sports, like I'm a running back. I can't play quarterback. I need somebody who's good at that to do that. So right now, as a lead pastor, I think like that. I think team oriented. I think like, okay, how can I get people in the game? Think like, man, it's a grind. We got to work. And people who play sports, they know that. They know that it's a hard season. They know that it's gonna be you're gonna have some losing seasons, some winning seasons. And so like, how do I endure through all of it? And for me, it's like it's like, hey, you sign up for this. Like
Yeah.
show up, commit to the process. You're good at it. So now as a lead pastor, that same mindset is like I use some of the analogies like, hey man, I set us in a team, hey, we're a family, hey, we working together. This is the goal, this is the big picture. How we gonna stay like encouraged and inspired to continue on that? And so sports is the same way. I still love it. So I find myself still like engaging with athletes who either playing now or hadn't played. And I'm just like working to, I've met with 2 guys in the past 2 days. One guy used to play for Baylor, another guy used to play for Kansas City. They're no longer playing.
Yeah.
And so now they're trying to figure out life after sports. And so I'm like walking with, so I'm like still like in that mode of meeting athletes who are playing the game or not playing the game and trying to figure out life. And so it's still a part of me. Like I still love it. Still love the how do we help guys not make that transition and thrive outside of sports?
Yeah, I think, and I don't know if I feel like it's not a lot of resources for that. Like nobody's like telling. I don't know. It's like I told my teammates because they thought they were gonna do something. I was like, bro, y'all still need to go to class. Like their jobs as coaches, is like once you stop bouncing that's well, you're no longer their responsibility. They no longer care for you in that sense because you're not bringing any value to them. So that means that you need to go. You don't need to just get some interdisciplinary degree to get out of college and then you look up like what am I supposed to do? But also like there's no like I feel like there's no as an athlete because we don't get to get the full college experience. like regular students do. So there's no transition from like what could I because all we doing is playing basketball. We can't figure out like what else we're good at in that time. I think it's hard for kids. I feel like a lot of kids that don't go professional, or even if they go, I've known girls that go overseas, but like nobody cares that you play overseas basketball. It kind of gets like scared. So it's like that goes when you 35, you like, what am I supposed to be doing? Because I've been playing basketball this whole time and I've never thought about it. And that that would think that would be scary. You that old, but like
Rough, yeah.
and you got for a career essentially outside of sport.
And I think that's what made it hard. So like when I wrote my book, I hadn't reached out to. I connected with a guy, Mark Robinson, out in college. This is like social media. Now he had wrote a book called, because I had this tagline like called More Than Athlete. So I thought this is before like LeBron James hit with it.
No.
I should have trademarked it, like, bro. So I reached out to this guy. He wrote a book, and it was Athletic Identity. So I read the book. I reached out to him. Let me reach out to this guy. And we hit it all. We kind of ended up starting a podcast. So what I noticed, I was frustrated at the time because I'm trying to like reach collegiate athletes. And I know like you're not going, if you haven't gone pro, it's hard to like get into that thing. So he's like, man, on a collegiate level, it was hard to bring this concept in because coaches still had the mindset like, hey, these are my athletes. I need to focus. I don't need nobody messing with the head. And I don't need them like getting off course because I got to get them ready for the season. But he's like, no, this is only going to enhance it because coaches would say, not all of them, so I'm preparing young people to be great adults for men and women, the society, whatever. And then it's like, well, what does that look like in your program? You don't have anything for that.
No.
So like you said, I didn't get the college experience. I'm waking up at 5 a.m. to get to practice, going to school, going to watch film, going to study hard. I'm back trying to get sleep. So you got this issue in college where it's starting to kind of happen, but now that NIL is a big deal, now cats are even more. Yeah, it's not. And then you got the NFL players. I met with a lot of some NFL players who, when they retire, they have things kind of in place. But I'm looking for the athlete, like once you're done with college or don't go pro, who's helping you there?
Yeah.
Because that's the hard part. It's like, well, I'm not the big name dude. Like I didn't, maybe I was an average guy and I'm just now trying to figure out stuff. What blew me away is this, and I'll quote my mom, I've been talking. What blew me away is this. In high school, and I maybe just culturally in high school, when I got to high school, my high school was predominantly white. And most of the guys who were Black, African American growing up, our goal was like, we playing ball to get to college. Like we trying to get to college. Well, some of my white brothers that I was playing with, their mindset was like, oh, if I make it to college, that's pretty cool. Like, I'm going to be a doctor or a lawyer. Bro, what? He's just doing it for recreational purposes. It lies to me, but I'm thinking like they parent gave them a different perspective on sports. Like some new, but now that the way, this is back in like early 2000s.
Yeah.
Now, man, parents was like, hey, you playing 5 sports, you in this thing, we got to get you. And I'm like, man, you setting them up. I met a lot of parents who would say, man, my kid is doing well because he has the GPA and he's out of trouble and he's doing well on the field. And I was like, a GPA don't mean you're going to succeed in life. You know what I'm saying?
Right. That part.
Some don't really understand like what other skills and tools do my man or girl have that you can set the man out for? Because it's hard trying to figure it out. Like you've been 15 years. It took me about 5 or 6 years to like really get into something that I enjoyed because I was trying to figure out who I was.
Yeah, and that's because I also tell like people that even for me, like I was exceptional, I was good, but basketball has always been a game. Like I've always been told that basketball is second to education. So even though you're going to college, guys is first, basketball is an add-on. So I've always had that mindset. It's basketball. So that's why when I first showed up, I declared a major. Like I declared accounting. And that's like, good freshman declaring accounting. But I was told, like, don't go out here and just getting all crazy if you're thinking you finna be that girl. Like, and then my thing is like, I had torn two torn ACLs and like, bro, like there's no way. Like at that point, like I'm done anyway because too much toll on my body.
You got it right about you,
But I think also, you said like parents are not thinking about that. Like anything can happen while you're out there on the field. Anything can happen where they could never do the sport again. Like, and that's why I was trying to relate to their mom. It's like, y'all, it not. I always tell them, and it make it seem like people like that's their dream. I get that's their dream, but we gotta also be real with ourselves. Like it has to end at some point as well.
Man, go for the dream.
Go-
Like there's like there's an expiration date on it. It's
Yes.
not something you can do forever. Like go for the dream. I had a cousin. He played NFL and he played in Montreal. Was balling, right? I think he's in that moment of trying to figure out. He played for like, but he had a good season. I mean, 10, 12 years of playing professionally. Now he's trying to navigate that. And so we in the beginning, I kept saying like, man, who are you gonna be when you're no longer an athlete? And that's the question. It's not like you're not gonna make it. You're not. If you get there, great. If you don't, okay, great. Who are you gonna be? We don't have that ball in you. That's the question. Like this cannot be it, and it's easy to become that because everybody's in your ear telling you this is who you are.
Yeah.
When I tried to do something, it was like, come on, bro, stick to sports. Like,
That's
and so for me, brother, I mean, and my coaches would say, have a backup plan,
right.
get your degree. I got a degree in construction management. I ain't doing nothing with that. Like, most guys are getting something easy because they focus.
Because they're focused.
Let's be real. So, but when you get out in life, it takes you a moment to figure out who you are. And so anyway, my question is always like, okay, cool, go for the dream. But who you gonna be when you're no longer an athlete?
When you're no longer an athlete. And that's just, it's so tough sometimes. Most people can't think past that. I'm just like, at the end, and I try, and I have a niece, like, and mind you, my brother, and he probably came up in like 3 or 4 other podcasts, but I try to tell him, like, listen, he can be good, but like, school is paid for regardless. Like, why are we pressuring somebody like, he's going to school, and he can go to any school in Texas for free because you know her. Like, so why are we doing, like, just let her play. Don't make it such a big deal. Like, I tell this now, I'm like, our circumstances are not the same. So my circumstance, like, you know, our mom can afford us to go to college. So we had to take that route. But if she could, I don't know, I might second guess. Like, I don't know if I would have went and played basketball, honestly.
Right.
So that's people. I was like, even when I was in that little bubble of like when I graduated, even though I had an accounting degree and I can go in the little town we had, there was only so many jobs in the county. So it wasn't a whole lot to go around unless you moved. And I even thought about like, listen, it's like, well, go get your be a CPA. I'm not paying for that. Like I just paying for books is just not something that I want to do. And so I was like, I was gonna go into the Army as an officer, go that route, and have them pay for my school and do that. But then I was like, I don't know if I want that. But I ended up getting a job. It was not all the way accounting, but it's like what are the different avenues? But I'm just like, don't pressure her to doing something that like she may not absolutely just love to do. And I think it's not going to the WNBA, not to be throw shade on her, but like there's not don't pick, because you had a conversation. One of the girls that they knew had picked a school. It was like a liberal arts school that she's playing basketball. And he's like, why didn't she go to that little school? I feel she's not thinking about just basketball. It's maybe that particular school may offer something that she really likes that's going to be after basketball. So basketball is not that important at this point today. She'll go to her play, or she get to do what she want to do after basketball. It's not about the school. It's about what they offer. What's a school that offers your whatever you want to do. You know, it's like, I got to get out of that mindset of like, bro, it's just sport. It's the sport. It's the game. It's there to have fun.
And I think it starts with the parent, because the coach is gonna be coaching. I mean, you pay for job. Yeah, the teachers at your school, like all that set up, but it's for like parents. I gotta diversify my kid. Like I got a baby girl, Bethany. She's 6. She loves gymnastics. I'm like, okay, cool. Right? We gonna do that. Like I put my kids in sports so they can like get the experience of it. Right. Like teamwork and all that. But I already kind of know like how they wired and set up, and so I'm also giving them exposing them to other things to where they're not just like pigeonholed into this just one avenue. So I think it starts at home because you for sure, and maybe because I went through what I went through, I have a different perspective. And I just got a lot of friends and coworkers who like, my kid about to be that dog. I'm like, and I got, and some of it is I got them and I talked to them along the way, but that parents is still like, this is what they want to do. And so now I got some kids right now who are like, they didn't make it. either went D1 or didn't make it. And so now they frustrated. Now they at home, they trying to figure it out. Parents frustrated.
Yeah.
Bro. So I'm always like, okay, how do I help? Like, how do we put something in place to capture that, to like have something set up to say, hey, let's walk through this process to let me help you figure out who you are, what other tools you have, so that you can get on. But because if not, what's gonna happen? If you don't learn it early, life come at you fast. You start paying bills, you get some babies, you get married. You ain't got time to be thinking about that.
Life's not like that. No, exactly. New exposure and certain stuff. Like I tell other who was talking to, but Houston is in piano. Okay, we'll do piano team, but I don't like it. Okay, let's try something different. Like you don't gotta be catching the ball. Let's go swim. You might like swimming. He likes flying. So we do fly once in a while. So I think this is exposure than what we were taught. I don't care if you never pick up a basketball or a football. Like go take them like fly and be a doctor. Like
hey, right.
Don't put your knees at risk. Like we want to be able to walk when you older and stuff like that. But I think it's that exposure.
Oh, it helps out. I think the NIL adds on another layer to it. Because now when they first started, was talking about it, I was like, oh man, these cats they going to school for not like they got a degree, they could get this money. Got this money. Like what degree what? What I'm doing? So you still got another layer. It's like, okay, what happens when there's money right on?
Right. When the money
I mean, like what? I mean, so it's you creating, you talking about they saw the stats on the pro level, cats going broke and all that stuff. Now you about to start it on a high school and collegiate level. So, but that's the like business of sport. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to use you. You are here to help us win. I'm gonna do everything I can because you are high commodity. But I'm not, and I'm not even necessarily. Some people think that it's the coach's job to prepare the athlete. And to a certain degree, I think there is, like you give them other tools, but it's also like I tell the athletes, I mean, you gotta take ownership. It's your life.
Right, it's your life. Yeah. Yes.
They can't get paid, like this your life. So part of that is like helping them think beyond that. And I think that's tough when every day you in it.
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah. But I sure wish they was paying when I
All right, fact.
I could use a little piece of change.
And if I knew what I knew back then, like give me the funding, I'll take it quick.
So reflecting on your journey and stuff, what are some challenges you face and how have you navigated challenges throughout? Obviously your sports, but not only sports, challenges of like, getting hurt, but like in your career path. How have you faced those?
So how do I face them?
Like how have you overcome one of your biggest challenges after sports in your career?
Yeah. So after my sports, after my career was, well, of course, identity, but I think it was like so I faced a lot of adversity growing up. The career and the injury was like a lot. So I had to like navigate that. That led to me realizing that I had issues with my dad because my dad wasn't in my life, so I was bitter. So I had to work through what does that look like to forgive somebody who I may never see again. Because I realized that was like affecting me. Then I realized that I was a victim. So like from my career like ending just the way it did abruptly, never getting to play my senior year, and I found myself complaining and being a victim. And so when I wrote the book Prevail, P was pursuing purpose and vision. So R was resolving to keep going. And then E was like embracing responsibility. And so I had to realize I had to take ownership. Like I could keep blaming and complaining, or my dad would have been my life. Things would have been different. When I played my senior, got this chance. I was like, man, ain't nothing changing, bro. I was waking up the next day still nothing changed in my life. So once I took ownership and was like, hey, whatever happens, it may not be my fault, but it's my responsibility to like navigate through that. And so that allowed me not to be a victim. So taking ownership, and then I had to face the stuff that was hard. Because you can't overcome anything you're not willing to confront. So when I had to take it on head on, I had to be honest with myself, man, this hurt. I don't like this. Okay, what are we gonna do about it? And so that kept me from being a victim, kept me to overcoming it. And I realized, man, when you face adversities and challenges and you overcome it, it only makes you stronger to face the next one. So the Prevail book was like, yo, the odds are stacked against you. I used to paint into that picture. There's a documentary called 42 to 1, Buster Douglas and Mike Tyson. love the story because Buster Douglas wasn't supposed to win. Right.
Yeah.
And so when I see people in life where it's like, man, you may not have all the resources or the tools, or you may be down and out, like there is a way. And what happened to Buster Douglas? He had a why. Like he had a purpose. Like I'm fighting for my mom. My mom just died. And
Yeah.
so that's the purpose of the why is what sustains me. So when things do get hard, I know why I'm doing this in the first place. The adversity is just part of the process. Like I'm not going to escape it throughout life. So for those moments, like me rupturing my kidney, me trying to figure out who I am, getting married our first year, and my wife having a preemie, we had a preemie child. Like I'll just learn how to like see the big picture and stay anchored. And so from there, not to become a victim, face the adversity, uh, take ownership. Man, what is the thing that's sustaining you? Like I get into what I'm doing now, and I know my why. I know adversity and opposition gonna come, but I know why I'm in it, and so that keeps me persevering to the end. And then too, I realized the I and prevail was ignore negativity. So I had to lower the negativity and distractions. And then L was like, I had to get a squad. So who's around me that's going to support me when I'm at my lowest? Who's around me that's going to speak into my life where I don't even feel like speaking into my life or feel like doing something crazy. So it's like not just me, I got these things, but I also got a team of people who can like encourage me and sharpen me when I don't feel like fighting the fight or overcoming whatever. So those are the things that help me face the challenges that I face throughout life to say, man, you're an overcomer. Like that's facts. I mean, I look at people look back over their lives when they look at the stuff that they overcame. It's like, no, you overcame that, you can overcome this. Right? You know what I'm saying? So I just put the principles and things in place that allow me to do it. I think it's universal that apply to anybody.
Yeah, that's good. I just think about that idea of taking accountability, not becoming a victim, and confronting. Those are all good things, because sometimes we don't want to take accountability for things. It's even in the workforce list. All of us don't take accountability, and I'm just like, even if like sometimes I've been in a situation, it's like it's not even my fault, but I did it. That's fine. Just move on to the next thing. Like, but it's good in it. Even that why, like, because I feel like some people are like, but I don't know what my why is. And so you got people like, how do you find your why? How did you find your why? For people that don't like, what can my why be if I don't like, everybody say, well, yeah, get my mom out the hood, or like,
Yeah, right.
so like, oh God, I get it, but like something more with the substance. I feel like what your why like kind of should be, or
Well, that's
fire, like, I guess, to keep you going, because I feel like why could expire at one point, because you got out of the hood. So what's your next why?
exactly right. So I don't think like there's one why that's like forever. Like you said, I think there's like seasonal. So like when I started speaking, I was getting invited to speak to some teams at some schools. And I asked myself before I got into it, because I just knew once my career didn't make it, I didn't go to lead, at least get a shot. I'm like, nothing's guaranteed. You know what I'm saying? So going in, I had to make up in my mind, like, hey, you're gonna face adversity from opposition backs. Why are you doing it? Right. And so for me, like when I got in speaking, it was like, yo, I really do want to help athletes know that there's purpose beyond the game. So when I didn't get the call, when I didn't, have a lot of people, hey, we want you to come speak here, we speak here. For me, it was like I would meet an athlete or meet anybody, and I'm like, I'll just do one-on-one with him. Or I'll do this, or I'll do that. Because I was really drawn to like, I really want to help them because know that there's purpose beyond the game. So that sustained me. Like when I didn't get the big calls or the big gig or people wasn't paying me, I just continued to do it because it was like, whether it's for one person or for 1,000 people, like this was it. So sticking through it, there was a lot of opportunities that I got, like whether that's mentoring, whether that's speaking, whether that's writing, where like schools started bringing me in. The only thing that I did not stay with it is because I had a family, so I had to work, and I was doing speaking on the side, trying to figure out how to do it full time, which I think it prepared me for what I'm doing right now as far as like pastoring and preaching, pastoring the church. But so that was like my why. When I got married, right? Like I didn't want to make. I was pursuing whatever I was pursuing, but my why was like, hey, I want to be present for my kid. So I can go out here and hustle, but man, I don't want my hustle to get in the way of me being present. So for me, like those are the things that when and that leads to like your value. You once you have a why, you got things that are important to you. it's like, man, it's easy for me to make decisions. So like when we got married, my wife was working, and then she had some stuff complications with my son, and then she was having a job. So I'm like, man, come off the job. Like we'll figure out the next thing. And so we started homeschooling. But the goal was like, okay, I got enough. I'll do whatever I need to do, but also enough where I'm not going to my family. So I think everything, I'll say it like this, everything that you get into, I think we always need to ask ourselves, okay, why am I doing it?
Right.
Because do you know why? When the highs and the lows come, when the adversity and all that stuff come, man, you can stay put. But if you get into it for, I'm about to do a social media channel, be a YouTuber, and I want 1,000 likes, and you don't get 1,000 likes, you gonna quit.
Man. But then when you mentioned that, it's easy to make decisions. So I think I was having a conversation with Jabari, and I was just like, we had to sell some of our real estate or whatever. And so I was like, I think in the culture today, we get caught up in like, you gotta, nothing wrong with working hard. I'm not saying don't work hard.
Yeah.
But I think it's like the come up, like get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, blah, blah, blah. Remember, I need to sleep. Like sleep is good. But we've gotten to a point to where it's like, you gotta drive this car, you gotta did it. Like, but what defines what's successful for you? So being in a multi-million-dollar home may not be as successful. Maybe your success, but not that don't mean that person that doesn't want that house is a failure. So, like, we don't, like, so I think that we've in a culture of just like, if you don't drive this car in this house, or you don't have 10 streams of income, or blah blah blah, not, or you don't
into all of them.
business. Like everybody is not an entrepreneur. Everybody's not a boss. You need workers, and there's people that love to work, go home, don't want that responsibility. But I feel like you modern into that, and then you like look up, and then you got kids like all they want is their mom and dad to be there and be present. They don't even they care about that. Most kids don't even care. They just want to go and be at the house playing. And I'm just like, keep that live so bad.
Exactly right. We go to the hood. I used to hear, people in the hood is different because they would be like, man, my kids got them J's though. Like my kid, you giving your kid money. Your kid will you.
Yeah.
So like that, seeing that, and then getting into the world, and I bought it. I bought it for like,
we all bought it.
Comic hip hop person. I mean, because you just thinking like, especially coming as an athlete, it's like, oh yeah, bro, because you know what it takes. Like you gotta grind and put in this work. Because you put in this work, you get the result. And then you start having a family. Like, bro, can you? If it was just me, it's different.
Right.
I'm going out eating. I can eat noodles. I can, bro, I got a whole wife. Right? My wife ain't trying to hear nothing. Like, so for me, it was like this thing of, okay, what does success look like for us?
Yeah.
And not what the world says, but what does it look like for us? That was hard for me because growing up, you did see the house and the car because you didn't have it.
Yeah.
I was driving some friends, and they're white, had some money. And for them, like, oh yeah, I'm about to go be a teacher, and make $50,000, $40,000 a year. I'm like, bro, you're for what? Why are you about to go? So because as I coming out of the hood, it was, man, you need to make enough so you don't come back to this. You may come back in, but you're not trying to come back today. I've seen people come in. So I'm like, man, what does it look like? So for me, it was like I never. People say, I want to make $1 million. For me, it was like, it was never about the money.
Mm-hmm.
If I was going for that, it was so that I can take care of my family. Bottom line, I don't even buy stuff like that. Most of my money going to food and books. I'm not the flashy type guy. I'm simple. But I was like, hey, I need to make what I need to make so that I can take care of my family. At the end of the day. Now, some people want to get it to stock. I don't care about impressing nobody.
No.
If I get the house and the car and I got all this stuff, that's like, I just feel like there's more to life. For me personally, there was more to life. And for me, it was like, man, how many can I pack my family, and how many other people can I pack just with me operating the gift that God's given me? And if I blow up and I get there, because that was the other part I struggle with. When you were playing sports, you were in the spotlight all the time.
Yeah.
So being in obscurity where nobody knows you, that was hard. Because I'm like, man, I want people to know the work I'm doing. I like to go to counseling. So I want the counseling to say, hey, I'm about to go pastor, and I'm about to pastor a church, I'm about to plant this church. And I'm seeing some people go into the ministry where they data issues ain't resolved. They go in there because they're trying to get validation or affirmation. they're going in because they're looking at the success or the status that these, celebrity people have.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, I don't want that. Like, for me, it was, I want to be as healthy as possible. If nobody knows what we're doing, but our community locally is different, I'm cool with that. And I had to settle on that and say it out loud. But I wrestled with that thing for 6 months. Man, I think I always say this all the time. Man, people lie to themselves. Man, we gotta be honest with them.
Oh, we for sure lie to ourselves. Because
I'll be the first one.
yeah, I feel like in the Black community for sure, but like that's why I had come to that realization, like, because I thought I was, I'm paid for, I was gonna be some CEO making X amount of dollars, blah blah blah, and I'm looking up, I'm home, married, 2 kids, and thinking about house. What? Like, no, this is not my life that I had gonna have. But having that realization, there's nothing wrong with that. And you gotta know, like, there's nothing wrong if that's what fulfilling to you, and if that's what your success is. Like, mine is like, obviously that's not what I want anymore. Mine is like, I just want these kids to be healthy and be good, decent human beings. Like, that's what I'm trying to get. And so, but it is weird to have to come to that realization, like, and just understand that what we were presented, like, of course, at one point I wanted this car, I wanted blah blah blah, but that really don't even matter. It doesn't matter. And I had the other day, a couple of months ago, maybe it's almost been a year. I think my aunt had died. My mom's sister had died, and she used to live in Erie, Pennsylvania, where I used to go to, and that's the first time I ever played basketball. And so I've been playing basketball all my life. I've never played another sport. I played all my life. And my stepdad had died when I was in college. And I couldn't figure out, like, I did not want to do anything with basketball. And we were doing a podcast with somebody. And they said, they were like, really? And I was like, I've been resenting basketball this whole time. Like, people were like, you should college, blah, blah. I'm like, no, I don't want to do that, blah, blah, blah. I was resenting basketball, didn't know it. Didn't know I had resentment toward basketball. And that lasted, I told you where I was like, when my aunt died, epiphany had happened. Like, and I don't even read people's obituary because I don't do funerals. But my aunt, so I was like, I read her obituary. So it was like, there's nothing that says Patricia Jones drove this car. Patricia Jones had this much money. Her house was 10,000 square feet. It said she was beaten to death by her husband, kids. I don't know the right word to use, but, and I was like, so all that stuff all that stuff we think is matter does not matter at all. Like, that we put importance on, and the stuff that matters we don't put that much emphasis and importance on. Like, having a healthy family, like, being present. You have kids, and like, no shade to people that have to work and put their kids in daycare, but I was telling you, it's like, it's so easy to get up, get my kids, and take them and drop them off. That is the easiest thing you could possibly do.
Easiest thing. Yeah.
But staying at home and being with them the whole day, the hardest thing. And I remember I still like when I first at Houston, and then the guy whose name is Greg Mitchell, he was the FCA, because I became a Christian in college, and he come talk to the basketball thing. Nobody would talk to him, and I felt sorry for him. So I'll talk to him, like, but I had seen him. He had I don't know where he came. He came to a service one day, and I was just talking to him. He's like, don't let anybody tell you, but like, he's like, being a mother is the most important job that you will ever have in your entire life. And that was like, because I was over there struggling. I'm like, why I gotta be home with this kid? Like, I'm over here, I need to be out here making X amount of dollars, be a CEO or somebody, my own business. And that was hard. Becoming a mother for me was like hard. Having that realization, like,
my wife struggled with me 13 years in the game. She playing. Like, that come up every year. Cause you see Instagram and you around people who are gonna get it, and it makes you feel like, hey, am I doing anything?
right.
I'm up and telling no, stop.
Stop fighting. Oh my God, baby. Oh, like what?
But it's like, it's one of those things where you don't see the fruit. Like, everything is like, you don't really see the fruit until they're like a dog. You know what I mean? So it's like you're tilling the ground for years. And I think I read years ago in a book or article where most successful people, when they got to their deathbed, a lot of them said, man, I wish I would have been more present in my kids' lives. There was a Steve Harvey. I don't know why I was watching something. Steve Harvey, somebody asked him a question like, "Hey, how do you balance being a dad and a husband and like being all the stuff?"
Oh, hell, like, he had like 5 jobs. I remember, I think I seen that.
Yeah, he was like, "Hey," he said, "You find," he said, "I don't know anybody in this industry doing what I'm doing that got a patent on it. Nobody knows how to figure that out." And I think when you get close to dying, like I went to a graveyard when after I worked for Keaton got over that stuff. I went to a graveyard and I just stood out there. I looked at the dates, like, okay, man, this person lived 40 years. This person lived 50. This person was 70. This person was 10. And I'm like, man, what did they die, like die empty using whatever God taught them to do or the gifting that
Mhm.
they had? Or like, what did they do with their life? So for me, I was like, I just want to make my life count. So when people go to my funeral, they ain't got to lie about my life. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. He loved this, was there with his kids. He loved his family.
Yeah.
Like I left some stuff behind, but like I want to say, like, man, my life like mattered. And I think what that looks like, each of us looks different.
Yeah.
But it's not the stuff, man. But the stuff is like that's a byproduct. It's like
Yeah.
you can get this stuff. I see so many people who are not happy. And in my head, I kept thinking, like, why are you not happy? You got everything that you want, man, because you don't have like the significance of the things that matters. And so for these CEOs or these successful people that said that, it's like you got all this stuff, and the thing that you wish you can go back to is like being with your kids and your wife. What are we doing? And that, but that's counterculture because this is what keeps selling. This is what keeps
Mhm.
people on this hamster wheel and keep people striving. And I met some people who were living in a different country, and they were like, yeah, it's not like that over
It's not like
like
that.
America. Yeah, maybe it's America.
Wrong over here. Dude, absolutely.
The grind. So,
You
but
gotta
living
rush.
that life in your own way, people like you have to fight to defend that because you'll meet so many people that say, "What?
What it,
That's not
yeah.
me."
Yes, that's what I said where I said that the end goal for put me on the homestead. We just I gonna grow my own food with it. And what do we find with that? But yeah, I think that we just bought into that lie. Like we gotta have all this stuff. We gotta be hustling. We gotta be Steve Harvey had 6 jobs. Like, bro, at this point, you should have enough money to go sit down. Sit down. If you're rough, like you have to have all these. Not like we need because of expenses and stuff. But
Man, if they were health failing, like people's marriages going through, people, I'm like, I don't want that. Like,
yeah,
I'm cool. Yeah,
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, for sure. It took some time. Like, dang, like we believe the wrong thing because we have a friend that's from New Zealand, and I think they don't make fifth child, but every single time her mom's able to come and stay for like 4, 5, 6 months. Now her mom works in New Zealand. I was like, yo, how your mom be able to do that? She was like, so in New Zealand they get like sabbatical, but the sabbatical don't have to be for yourself. Like you can take the sabbatical. So she comes every time she has a baby and stays like 4 months, 3 months, 3 to 4, 5. Yeah, 3 to 5 months.
What?
And they like over there, like I guess they call it what did she call it? I can't remember what she called it. It's another word for vacation, but like it's like mandatory to take off.
Mandatory. And here, you can't take off. You take off, it's like my dad was
He's in the emails.
man, right. He got my dad retired. He got all this like accumulated vacation time, sick time that he's never used.
He turned it in.
Some of he got for the sick time, but PTO, I mean, you can't.
Oh, you can't turn it in. Yeah. He don't go to.
This that mindset of, I mean, you gotta work. You gotta work. Like I gotta work. I gotta work. People need this, da, da, da. And you hear it all the time. Man, they fire you or you die.
They don't replace you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true, but mentally we still like I still gotta go show up.
Yeah.
Because most people think like, man, my job ain't secure. So I keep taking off. They'll find a way to get rid of me. Right? Most people. And then you got this new generation coming, they're like, I'm taking my
I'm taking off. I'm like, you
just taking off.
I might do some unpaid vacation.
Yeah. So life is crazy. I just think at this point, striving for stuff, like this guy, for those who I don't know, he made the prison online. I don't know, but this guy named Solomon, Ecclesiastes. This dude was wise, had all the money, everything, women. I mean, he had it all. You wrote a book in Ecclesiastes, like it's all meaningless. My man learned everything he could learn, got everything he could get. It was like, yo, this is meaningless. It's never enough. Like you keep striving, it's never enough. And you get to a point where you get this stuff and you still feel like, man, I'm empty. Like, what is
Yeah,
what is
and
meaning,
then
what
it's
is
like that.
purpose?
Yeah, and I feel like also, like obviously when you come from maybe poverty, they like, bro, I ain't gonna be happy you give me $1 million. It's like, fine.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm in poverty. That means I ain't gonna be sad about nothing. You give it to me,
Until I get that meaning. And then you got people winning the lottery. What happened?
bro.
Bro. That's about everything you would get. You done bought the house, you got
It's like I just remember that lady that like she won so much. I think her mom had gave her the numbers to win, and I think she was like, I think she was all Ayana saved my life. She was about to go broke, and she had like bailed her boyfriend out like 10 times, like, and she was just about to be broke, and they trying to help her before she got to that point. Like she had the projected like being broke in the next year or 2 years. The way I was just like, wow. Just if you get that money that you don't know what to do with it because you've never had that much money in your lifespan, so you like, I gotta go buy all the things. Yeah.
that's and I always think about when you got athletes who grew up poverty like that and they make the money. You know, people will, oh man, they stupid. Or it's like, but y'all don't, if y'all ain't grew up like that,
Right.
mentally, you don't know how to, like, that's everything. Yeah. And then you think you're going to have it forever. And that's the lie. That's when I was like, "Damn, it go by." You know, it go by fast. Like, you don't have anything to show for it because you're like, oh, I can keep playing. I can keep doing it.
Or people are just because we have a friend in the NFL, like people are, I didn't know this until they told me, like they got NFL players that are having to take loans out in an off season because
Off
they
season, 'cause they-
their paychecks. I'm like, you got that much millions of expenses that you gotta take out a loan to get to the next season. That blew my mind, and then I was like, but like they sit here like they just don't know how to or they think they gotta take care of my back home. Or parents start to retire. Like, no, you can't. Like, they parents are just like, okay, I'm retired now. He didn't make. They got to still pay taxes, insurance. Like, you ain't getting all the millions that you see that they on TV. Like, it's deductions that come after that.
Yep. And that's the pressure though. Some parents, I heard some parents like, oh, after all these years I raised you, like I need my cut.
Like, I asked to be here. Asked to be here. Why?
So that, I mean, it's a loyalty. Like for some guys who make it, it's this loyalty of like these guys been with me to the day one. And I get it because you get to the league, you don't know who for you, who against, but you only go back to what's familiar. So again, I don't. There's no judgment. I get it, man. This is hard, man. I got $1 million if I made it back. Oh, I would have bought my mama a house, a car. You know, yeah, I would.
And not thinking like, oh, he got to be able to afford these utilities. Or like not, you have
Right.
never thought of like that. Yeah, I get it. Like, you still got to maintain the property. Who's gonna pay the utilities? Who's gonna pay the property taxes? Like, yeah, they still have to be something. So mama might still have to work a part-time job to pay for utilities. The house may be paid off.
Pay these taxes and insurance. You got to going out. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, that is true. Like, just not knowing what all comes with it, just blindly just going out there and just, okay, look, I got all this money. Let's go here.
That's the hard part. Like, how do you recover? Because you got guys who are at the top and then you at the bottom. That's hard. That's hard. So yeah, yeah. No, this was good.
Yeah. So so what advice would you offer your current collegiate athlete that's about to graduate, that's not going professional? What are some good nuggets that you can give them if they're listening to the pod?
Yeah, I would say this: if you're collegiate, about to graduate, you're not going pro, I tap into your resources like that's available to you right now. The other part of that is, and when I say tap into your resources, like your counselor, your coaches, like networking, like really like getting out. Like you're not that type of person, like really force yourself to get outside your comfort zone to like, you know, see if there are other opportunities. The other part is that man, really, really get along by yourself and begin to ask yourself a few questions. Like, man, okay, what do I love so much that I just enjoy doing? What do I hate so much that maybe I want to correct? Like I don't want this to happen, keep happening. What grieves me? What makes me come alive? Man, how am I wired? What has other people said about me that they noticed other good things in me or other gifts and strengths that's in me that I don't recognize in myself? Because purpose is when it's natural, you don't always see it. Other people see it sometimes. And so once you start like jotting down like questions and asking yourself what else you're good at, from there it's okay, what job, what career, what can I get into that allow me to like be who I am to thrive in it. And a lot of times it's gonna be trial and error, right? And so you may go take one job that you trying it out to see if it's a good fit, and then that may not lead there. You may lead into something else. Because I think like these are clues, and once you start like exploring, man, you find your right fit. So you got people around you. So get around, ask people like mom and people who know you, what are you good at, not good at. And then just you tap into your resources for your coaches, your counselors, the people that you know, and see what's available. Because you don't want to just go get a job and just be in a survival mode.
Yeah.
I would take that time to figure out who you are, and answer the question and explore, and then from there, man, you'll find the thing that you should be doing.
Yeah, that's good to find people, because that's for me. That's the same thing I had, because I was like, I don't like it, but I'm good at it, and I'm just like, that possibly can't be. I'm good at, I'm type A personality, but I'm just like, I just don't like. I do property management right now, and I can do it.
You could do it, but that's not. Yeah.
And it's a task. I can knock out a task any day of the week, but it ain't my thing. Like, they'd be like, "But you're good at it." I get it, but
Yeah, and that's different. You may be good at something and just don't enjoy doing it. And that's why I say like explore, because I did something and I was behind the scenes and I couldn't talk to nobody. I was miserable. I like to be with people. I'm extroverted. I like to come laugh.
yeah.
You isolate me, I'm dead. I'm just
Yeah, you got none of that. Yeah, you for sure. Like, I'm the opposite. I can fit in solitude, but like, that is true. So, I've seen a lot of people leave a job not because of pay or whatever. It's just the fact that just the environment. Like, they thrive off of human interaction. Or like, when I was interviewing for a job, they were like, "Would you rather work in an office with like 3 or 4 people or work by yourself?" I said, I can do it, but I would prefer to be by myself.
by myself.
So yeah, just knowing how you thrive, like what environment do you thrive in, what environment don't you don't like. Yeah, and being just honest with yourself, because some people can't, just like right now the office I am has 0 windows.
Mhm.
So, but that doesn't bother me. But majority of the population, it probably bothers to not have to be able
It bothers me.
to.
To man, I'm telling you, yeah. Because there's that environments and people that energize you. When I used to get around our athletes, man, I came alive. When I was speaking to them, when I was coaching, it's something in me like, okay, yeah, let's go. But when I was I was working for a nutrition company and I was working from home, and it was cool because it worked for my schedule. But I was at home taking calls, no interaction for 8 hours, 10 hours. You know what I'm saying? Like it just comes like being with people. It's online, and I was like, bro, I can't do this forever.
Yeah, and I know the importance, like, like when I was younger, you know the importance. I told somebody, I was like, you need, like, everybody needs human interaction. Like, I was that person, like, girl, I don't need no friends. I'll be all right. Like, bro, you need some friends. Like, you,
And that's that count. That's why you got that accounting degree. That people be like,
friends.
be the key with.
Then you're like, I only got like, I need like maybe 1 or 2 more friends. Like, like, just, and I can, I can do people, but then I need that time to be like by myself to recharge. If I don't, and then I'll be irritated around people. And so I can do them, I get doses of them, then I gotta go and recharge on my own, and I'll be all right. So yeah, and I
That's why y'all subject.
until I got into working, and this thing called the DISC assessment and all. And so I was like, oh, that makes sense on why. And I kind of grew up as the only child, so I did a lot of stuff by myself. And I think I told you, Bryce, I think all that stuff is environmental, like how you grow up. So like I'm an 8 on him, but I think I'm an 8 because of my environment, because of how I grew up. Is why I became an 8. And so, because I had to be, tough, or ain't nobody do nothing to you while you're feeling hurt. Like,
But on the disc, what are you on the disc? D?
I'm a D. I'm a high D. I'm a D, and then a C, S, I is at the bottom. I is like,
Okay, so you're D. D is what the comprehensive.
Yeah, I'm a high DC. Yeah, I'm DC. I is my lowest one.
D and D. I'm a DI, And so like most people, like I'm an I,
Yeah.
and then like a D will come in, but it only come in certain environments, like certain settings. Like if there's chaos, like I can lead, but like if there's like somebody leading and it's cool, like oh, let's go. But if there's like chaos, I'm quick to like step in. All right, this is what we're doing. Boom, boom,
Right.
boom, boom.
Yeah.
I prefer like inspired to be with people and
Right. Yeah.
yeah. First thing, yeah,
Got it.
that's it. Yeah, no, that's cool. So I hope that the athletes that are listening, collegiate athletes, may like take that. Like I would take time. Don't just go run and get a job. And if you need to, do you gotta make the money. But like, man, I would take this time to like be by
No,
yourself.
for sure. I would agree to that because I feel like, yeah, because my first job, it was in accounting, but nah, we kind of clashed because I wanted to be the boss. Essentially, if I'm honest, I want to be the boss. Is what it came down to. You need right on. But I didn't know what I was good at because I played basketball all my life, so I didn't know really what. Yeah, and that's why I thought like the podcast would be good because I never had to explore anything else what I was good at until now I'm 35 years old and I figured out that I like gardening. Like, but it took COVID to figure out like, oh, what else can I do outside of work? Because at the time giving up basketball wasn't hard for me because it was never just like that kind of thing for me. But like, what am I outside of like going to work? Like, how am I good after that? So I had to figure something out and I just started gardening. But we don't have that time to take to be like, let me sit here and figure out like what am I today? We want to get something to eat and want to sleep. Like you don't think about anything else. And then we travel. Like nothing else going through our brain one time. But what are some key takeaways you hope listeners will gain from your story in particular?
My story, I hope you like one, like not just hear the tragedy, oh, he didn't make it. But just the process. Like this takes time. You know, like it's not something that happens in a day. To explore. I hope they take away the question. I said, man, who you gonna be when you're no longer an athlete? When you facing adversity, being able to confront it, being able to process it, asking yourself, okay, what's my why? Why am I jumping into this? And then to know that like purpose is not a destination, man, it's something like you're wired this way. So like what's the environment that's gonna bring out who you are, that's gonna make you come alive, that other people see you that you don't see in yourself. And the last one I would say, man, you need a squad. Mentors, like reaching out to people, getting feedback, learning, growing, reading, just because man, it's gonna you want to grow. Jim Rome said this. He said, "Man, don't wish it was easier, wish you were better," or something like that.
Yeah.
It was something like you working on like who you are, like to get better and to grow, so that way you can define what is success for yourself. So I hope something that you take away, not just the story, but like what are some things that I walked through to like help me to navigate where I am today.
Okay. And so lastly, how can people get a hold of you, reach you, social media, anything like that? What are your social media?
Instagram is bswing20. Facebook just Brandon Sweeney. I'm not on not Twitter, X. I'm not on X. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for coming on and that game. But let me just pause. Hold on. I just have to at the end.